Hiya, I'm Rat Buffet, and I want to take a look at a few demos on Steam. I believe they're still available right now. Yeah, I just wanna take a look. Want to show you some of these pretty cool games. I think they're all classifiable as indie games, small studios and whatnot. Yeah, let's dive in. And stay tuned to the end of the video for my little spiel, if you will. Thanks. Alright, so first game we'll be looking at is Communite. Communite. You get it. I get it. It's great. Very clever. It comes from the studio Jim Jum. At least I think they're a studio and not a person. If someone is named Jim Jum, I am envious. Great name. And so anyway, I know this game existed for some time on itch.io. I don't know when the first iteration of it came into being, like how long it was there before getting a demo on Steam. I know that last year sometime I tried it for the first time and was really quite captivated by how confusing it was. Yeah, so I'm not plugged in with the game's Discord, which definitely is probably my loss, because it definitely, if I had to guess, it's probably one of those games where the devs and the community are very connected there. I mean, anytime a game has the Discord link in the menus or whatever, I feel like that's a sign. Anyway, I think the game is in some sort of open beta state, even though it's been pushed on Steam as a demo a couple different times now. Anyway, to the game though, it's very different. I really like how super colorful, cheery everything is. You can tell from the video. On paper, it seems very basic, but not in a bad way. I mean, kind of click to move, wander around this, what is essentially an open world, and each little tile, each square that you hop around on is something you can interact with by, placing your own element on, I guess, unless another player has placed something there. So you'll see there's grass and rocks and trees, just, houses, all the stuff you could imagine, And so placing different environmental elements like your, trees and whatnot takes energy, which is on a cooldown. You acquire more as time goes on, and when you level up, I think it gets refreshed all the way to, whatever your maximum is, and the maximum goes up, and it looks like the amount of time it takes also comes down for how quickly. So not too different of a thing for anyone who's played a mobile game before. That said, this is not a mobile game. I think that's just kind of a system they have in place, and that's totally fine. So as you place things down, you can see what other players have placed down. You can see their names. There's like community project type things where, whatever it is, if it's a big house or, a big tree, it takes multiple players kind of contributing energy to it before it's actually placed in the world, which is, neat little thing. There's also mini games, and there's probably more that I'm just not aware of. I feel like I'm scratching the surface, so I don't know. I want to make a more concerted effort to dive into Communite, though, and I'm very curious about the Discord, so keep your eyes open for that one. Alright, this next game is What the Car from Triband, and another entry in their What the series, like What the Golf. which was super fun. If you've never played that, it is not a golfing game whatsoever. Other than like you start with like a golfer and a golf club and a golf ball, and then it very quickly goes off rails from there. Same for this game. Pretty sure, pretty confident I can say that. I did notice looking into this game that it has been on iOS, I think probably Apple Arcade, for a little over a year now, so I knew it seemed familiar. Anyway, it's coming to Steam. Got to try the demo. I played most of it. Part testament to just how fun it was. Like, I kept, one of those games where every level you are introduced to a new gimmick of something that has changed with your character called car. Whether it's long car or car with legs, car with jetpack, car with mini legs. And the funniest one that I saw so far, which I did not actually get in my footage for this, but car on stilts, but the stilts are giraffe necks or whatever, heads, which is not as grotesque as it sounds. I was not expecting it. Also, it's great because the controls, at least on keyboard, which not my preferred way to play a game like this, but I did it anyway. But very simple controls. I mean, you move with the arrow keys, or maybe WASD, probably, I don't remember. And space is like your action, essentially, since each level, some kind of gimmick is going on, It's like if you have a jetpack, pressing space kind of launches you forward or up, whatever it is. And in the case of the giraffe neck stilts, it was space each time. I think you had to hold it. I don't remember, but it was how long you extended the stilt, but just one. And so you kind of had to, measure how far it was you were going to take one step at a time. It was very silly, very funny. Obviously, this is one of those physics-based sort of silly games. So you get all kinds of funny little interactions and things, which is great. Definitely excited to play more of this one. I know I could play it on Apple Arcade right now, but you know what? I might. I don't know. We'll see. I am curious how many levels there will be. Again, I'm writing all this. I wrote all this ahead of time and realized after the fact, like, oh, I could play this already. But I'm gonna find out. There's this whole overworld sort of map that the game has. So you can see the levels, kind of Mario World style. There's like little side levels and whatnot, and probably bonuses of different kinds. Yeah, it's pretty fun little game. It's just probably a fun afternoon for you. I know that when What the Golf came out is one of the very few times where I essentially binged a game. I don't really sit down and play, one game, especially one game through all the way, but I think in about 2 afternoons back to back, I played every single level on What the Golf. Probably barring, a few little secret levels I didn't discover until later. Or at all. I don't know. Yes, very fun. Looking forward to this one coming out on Steam. Next up is a game called Midnight Blood Rush from one of the best named devs ever, Guillotine. That's just terrific. They have an itch.io presence and one other game listed, which is called Demonic Panic, which I'll have to check out. This game is listed as coming soon, so I'm not really sure what phase of development it is in. Kind of seems a little early in development, but I don't know how that goes. I really like the aesthetic a lot, but it definitely needs more, which I don't feel qualified making such a harsh judgment after 10 minutes of playing the demo. You know, I have a feeling it's going to be really fun when it's fleshed out. The level structure really gives me Cult of the Lamb vibes. Really any kind of, I think it's a roguelike, maybe, but that kind of feel where you're, room to room, here's some enemies, fight them, maybe you get a new power in like the next room or whatever, and you're collecting blood naturally. Yeah, it seems pretty solid. I quite liked that, you have to bring an enemy's health down pretty far, all the way down, and then they kind of enter into this dazed state, as you can see. And at that point, you have to dash through them, which then offs them, and blood and etc. Seems like a nice little idea, given that, in these sorts of games, you're constantly dodging anyway. You're waiting for your dodge meter or the countdown, whatever, to refill, and, you're getting out of the way of the next move, and so, boom, you gotta go over and off this guy, and before they come back to you, I guess. So, natural little gameplay loop there. Again, super cute art style. I don't know, I'm a sucker for cutesy blood-soaked games, like Cult of the Lamb. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. I'll keep my eyes on it. Next up is Papersky from developer Brute Force, which I know I'm commenting on like every dev's name, but Brute Force, and then look at the footage for this game. That's great. They also made a game called Crumble, which actually, that was a game I noticed before. I never played it, but I'm seeing similarities, except this game has, I guess you could say, more of a realistic approach, realistic physics sort of thing it's a paper airplane simulator, basically. Except you can kind of turn into a crumpled piece of paper at will, which you will see from this footage. I had to do a lot. I am pretty sure you're, supposed to stay a paper airplane as much as you can and just fly around and catch the updrafts and just woo. I, for whatever reason, could not wrap my head around controlling the paper airplane. I just not great at it. But wow, it's really pretty. Really, really pretty little game. Kind of a, I don't know, almost looks like there's a cel-shaded influence going on. Very colorful, very just vibrant. Now the game is listed as like an early alpha state or something like that. So early on, definitely intrigued, definitely curious to see like what kind of game this is gonna be. It has that feeling of like Journey, but that sort of just cinematic, artistic adventure sort of thing where you're, navigating a vast space. Really, really emphasizes that vastness. I think from this footage, if you can see, there's like a lighthouse or something way off in the distance, and I originally was gonna make it a point to try and fly out there, but just not with my lack of paper airplane flying skills. So yeah, very, very cool. Very excited to see how this one unfolds, if you will. Oh man, Tiny Glade. I've been actually watching this one for a little while now. It's from a team called Pouncelight, which is a team of 2. I always love these very, very, very tiny teams. Super cool to see what 1, 2, or a few can accomplish. This might also be their first game, at least under the name Pouncelight. I'm not sure. And this is in that very interesting, beautiful little genre that's really blown up in the past few years, where it's like, it's a toy, it feels like, more than a game. It's just like creative painting with procedural generation and stuff. And I say painting, not because you're actually painting. I mean, you can see from the video, I mean, you're going through in this like brush-like way, creating foliage and, you know, walls and dirt paths and whatnot. And then this just absolutely awesome procedural generation system where, you know, it detects like, oh, there's a pathway there. Okay, well, let's throw an arch up in this wall that you're placing over the dirt path. Or you're placing 2 windows next to each other. Okay, well, that's going to be a different type of window then. You know, they kind of like click together and become this new thing. So very cool, very granular controls, as you can see. You know, you right click on one, you know, if it's like these silo tower pieces or these big rectangular house pieces, you right click on them and then you get just like this kind of skeletal wireframe-esque sort of look at what you can manipulate, like, you know, size, shrink it or enlarge it, you know, turn it around, make it taller, make it shorter, and then all of that, the actual visual look of it is adjusting and changing. And then also interacting with whatever's near it, which is so fun. I really love this genre. I don't know when it started. I really, really don't. But I'm always, when I see this, I think of Townscaper, if any of you have played that. Very fun little toy, really not a game. And the dev even pretty much stated that, you know, they're like, hey, this is a test, this is a project. So Tiny Glade is that, but just so much more. Browsing on the community page for this game as well, people are already putting up just absolutely beautiful creations. This one I had here in the footage I have is like second one I tried. The first one was just a real fun mess, just getting familiar with all the controls and whatnot. I did a couple more little castles and whatnot. It's just really fun. And also, if you can see, crazy camera controls. Like, really have control over a lot of different ways to manipulate the camera to get just the right shot, and adjust the day, night cycle, where the sun is, like what angle in the sky, and the aperture, and just super cool. Granular controls. So I think it's more of like a screenshot simulator sort of thing. I don't know. Really fun. Definitely gonna, you know, snatch this game, if you can call it a game. Gonna snatch it up as soon as it's released. Yeah, very fun. You made it to the end of the video. I very much appreciate it. This is a new channel. If I release this in chronological order, this is actually my first video. So yeah, I very much appreciate you watching it. I hope you found it interesting. I hope that you give some of these smaller games, some of these indie games a shot. Go and download them, the demos on Steam. I think they're all still available. Either way, look up the studios, the different people, give them a follow. It's good to show support for smaller studios. That's kind of my whole shtick here, I guess. Bigger studios are just kind of crumbling under the weight of their own bureaucracy and shareholders and nonsense and bleh. I'm not about that. Not anymore. I'm done with it. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind, give me a follow and like, all that stuff. Yeah, stay tuned. I have more videos coming. Probably about similar things. Yeah. Yep.